Hello and welcome to Football Kentron, a podcast dedicated to Armenian football. Joining me today, we have the usual suspects in Chadens, Armen, and Tito. But today we're going to be joined by a special guest for an interview. But first, let's get into some news. The Armenian Cup final is set. Ararat Yerevan edged out Ararat Armenia 3-2, and Alashkert dispatched FC Noah 4-2, and they will be meeting now in the VBET Armenian Cup final to take place on May 15th. Guys, these four teams were the four teams that are currently at the top of the table. But was it a little bit surprising to you guys, as it was to me, that the teams that are a lot shinier and newer and have a lot more money didn't make it to the final this year?
Yeah, it's surprising. I was hoping Noah to be at the final.
Me too, but I think Alashkert completely outplayed them, especially in that second game. It was not even a contest. Armen, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I wasn't as surprised with Alashkert, honestly, but maybe with Ararat Yerevan, like on their first season with a new team, already shining, already getting to the top places in both league and cup. That was the surprise for me.
Well, let's move on to some other good news that we have. Chadens, we have some good young guys coming up, right? What's the latest?
We've got massive news on our 19-year-old striker Gorman Velian signing his first pro contract. Nantes FC already stated that he's going to represent Armenian National Team very, very soon. And currently he's training with the second squad, but is eligible to feature in League 1. So Nantes currently has 9 strikers on their first team, many of which have been previously loaned by the club to leagues like England, Switzerland, and Belgium. That is in itself already would be a win-win for every party involved, Gor, Nantes, and the national team. And also we've got a 22-year-old goalkeeper, Varujan Ovanesyan, who signed his first pro contract with Rayo Vallecano in Spain. Also, he's going to be training with the second team, and considering that there are 4 goalkeepers before him in the first team, which includes the Macedonian national team starter Dmitrievski and Luka Zidane, the possibility exists for him to go on loan, which is something that Rayo is quite used to doing. And Tito has very big news, but not confirmed news.
Really big, great news. It's about a transfer rumor. Our captain, Henrik Mkhitaryan, is said to be offered a big money salary by Juventus, since he's most likely becoming a free agent by the end of the season. Although he's also said to be getting a formal renewal offer from Roma pretty soon. But something big for us.
I think he was strongly considering staying at Roma until the first leg semifinal against Manchester United the other day. I think he had his heart set. I think he was like, okay, cool, you know what, I'll stay at Roma. But from what I read this morning, he wants to play Champions League, and he's obviously not getting any younger. And
Beautiful.
So it seems like maybe this Juve move might actually happen.
Even if he plays little minutes, it's going to be big.
And you know, we knew, I mean, said and done, right? On the previous episode, we were talking about Roma, and I literally said Roma's defense is literally the definition of shaky. And said and done, Roma got 6 goals scored on them. I mean, maybe the ref helped a little bit, but Manchester United were already doing merits of their own. And I honestly would love to see Heno being coached by Pirlo. He's my idol. So, yeah. But we also had other rumors.
Yeah, we did.
And,
Go ahead, Armen.
And this one is a little more underappreciated for me, in my opinion, because he's, of course, not Mkhitaryan, but Haik Musakhanyan. Remember this name, guys. He's a 23-year-old midfielder, defensive midfielder, by the way, that plays currently in Belarus, but he's been doing so well, so good in the Belarusian Premier League that he has now gotten confirmed offers from Bulgaria, Romania, and Slovenia, as officially reported, for instance, by Vivaro News. So yeah, I would from time to time joke that Musakhanyan will be the next Armenian Busquets because he's very tall, defensive midfielder, and yeah. But if the move takes place, like for instance, to some mid-table Romanian team, maybe it's not going to be as much of a pun anymore. I mean, the player himself, Haik, has said that he's basically moving. So, hey, Mr. Levon Bajajian, ambassador of the Armenian Football Federation in Europe, here's a phone call for you. Pick it up. He would be a great addition for the national team. What do you guys think about this?
You know what? I think it depends on what club he goes to, but like we say a lot, anything as west of Armenia, if you can go west of Armenia, it's preferred. So I would welcome it personally.
Yeah, and Romania it's a pretty big league, even if he goes to some low table side. And Slovenia is already like a transition to Italy or to the other Western European countries. I don't know. What about the rest of you guys?
I think it'll be dope.
Yeah, he's one of those game changers for like when you need to stabilize the deep midfielder. He would be a great addition, in my opinion. Like, technically, I believe personally that he is a little off physically, but yeah, a little. He's a little off physically and needs to improve his speed, his stamina, and on that aspect. But technically, and in skill sets and IQ, he's a great player. All right. That's it for breaking news.
Well, let's move on to today's main topic. Joining us today is the rising star of Armenian football, a 20-year-old midfielder from Glendale, California. She may go to slow, but on the field, she has the pace. The midfield engineer, her football skills can only be matched by her meme-making abilities. San Luis Obispo ASA president, women national team number 16 for our 16th episode. Rita Grigorian, how are you?
Hello, I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here. I think this podcast is amazing. I just found out more about it, and I'm just so happy to talk to you guys.
We're very excited to talk to you. We love talking about it, so we figured might as well hit record and throw it out there. If someone listens to it, great. If they don't, whatever. Well, let's just start with some of the basics. What was the experience of growing up as an Armenian diasporan in the center of Armenian life in the Western world?
Well, for me, I didn't really realize that I was in a totally Armenian community until I had to Slow, which is very white, and there's not a lot of Armenians. So I definitely had culture shock when I went over there. But so when I did go over there, I finally realized, yeah, I was basically living in a little Armenia in Glendale. So I appreciated it more. And I don't know, it's just good to have Armenians around you. That's something I took for granted, and now I don't because I had that experience. So yeah, I love it.
Did you find that adaptation like really hard? Because I know a lot of Armenians, whenever they move away for school, like you just said, that culture shock sets in. But was it difficult for you, or were you able to adapt?
You know what? In the beginning, it was just weird that I couldn't speak Armenian to my friends and there wasn't Armenians around me. But like I started teaching Armenian to my friends that weren't Armenian, and my whole dorm eventually, like, they knew me as the Armenian. I was just the Armenian, and then I kind of grew ASA, so we kind of just created our own Armenian community with what we had. So that's how I cope with culture shock.
By making everyone else Armenian.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Chadens, go ahead.
When did that when did that lead you to get into football? Like when was it you felt like it was a time to start playing football?
So I started playing when I was 5 with just AYSO, so like with little kids, my parents were keeping me busy, you know. And then my little brother started playing at an Armenian club here in Glendale, and then I would go play on the side once in a while, and then their coach saw me and was like, just put her in the club. So I would train with the boys for a few years while I was in middle school. Up until throughout high school, I was training with the boys club team. So, and I think that's what helped me a lot, like to get ahead in that. So yeah, I was playing with them, and then I played in high school, and then somehow I'll tell you about how I got to Armenia eventually through that.
We're very curious here on this podcast because obviously there's not that much information that comes from Armenia to here, and even in Armenian, and not hardly any in English. But so we kind of want to know a little bit more about that process. Like, how did they like just randomly call you? Did someone like DM you on Instagram? How did that happen? Like, how did the federation like find Rita?
Okay, so this is a very funny Armenian story that I don't know if the other players would have experienced this, because okay, let me just tell you. So basically, freshman year of high school, I was just playing for my high school and my club, and I went to Armenia that summer to visit my grandma, okay? And then I was there all summer, so 3 months I was there, and I was getting like kind of nervous. I was like, I'm getting out of shape. I need to like start training so that I can go back and play good for like my high school, you know, and my club. So my grandma was like, okay, my neighbor knows someone who knows a women's team, okay? So the next day we talked to her neighbor, and she had a field to go to, and I went there. I was 14 at the time. I went there, I practiced with this team of girls, and I really liked them. And then at the end of practice, the coach was like, oh yeah, by the way, this is the U17 national team. And I was like, what? Like my mind was blown. And then, so they ended up liking me that summer, and they called me up for the youth team. So I played with U17 and then U19 all throughout high school. So that's how I met them.
That is a very, very interesting story. Well, let's get into a little bit forward thinking, considering where you are right now in your football life. You just made your debut for the national team. You guys played in the R Game friendly tournament. Where would you want to be in 5 to 10 years' time? Like, what's your like career goal at the club level?
Well, for me, I know it's like for most people it's more important. Their professional career is the most important, and then national team might be something on the side since they're not always training together, and that's not the team they're getting paid to play for and things like that. But for me, since I'm not on a professional club right now, and even when I was playing club, I was playing there so that I could get ready for the national team. So for me, that's the most important, because it's like you're representing your nation against other nations, and for me, that's the highest level. So in 5 years' time, I'm hoping that we would have qualified for the World Cup games, and then by then we'll be playing qualifiers for the European Championships. So just raising our rank, because we don't get a lot of attention, as you said, but I think something is cooking up here for real, and people are gonna want to keep their eye on it for sure.
That's nice. I think that's what unites all of us in here. The Armenian. I don't know how to say.
Armenian football. Armenian football.
No.
No.
No. Like, I don't want to say nationalism.
Yeah, just being Armenian. Yeah,
Armenian.
that's a very Armenian thing to be very Armenian.
Okay, so moving on to a much more general question about football. Do you have any pre-game rituals or anything like that?
I used to listen to Eminem every single bus ride to the games.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it.
In high school, I played tennis, and my doubles tennis partner would literally listen to Till I Collapse on the bus loud every single away game. So I totally get it.
No. It's like that. It's like that. If you don't do the same thing that you do always, you lose. That's life.
Consistency.
We know you're a proud Armenian, like all of us here at Football Kentron, and you have obviously chosen Armenia either way, sooner or later. But has there ever been interest in you by the United States women's national team or maybe youth national team?
No, and well, they haven't reached out to me first of all, but I always every single year when I was in high school and I would come play over here, I would tell my coach, it doesn't matter who asks me to come play for them. I don't care if US tries to recruit me. I was like, I will always come play for Armenia. And at that time, yeah, that was a time where there wasn't the senior national team, right? It was just the youth national team, and we weren't funded that great, and we weren't winning games or anything. Like, it was definitely a struggle, but that's the struggle that eventually built everything, right? So, like, even at that time, I was like, there's no way I would ever go anywhere else. This is my team, this is my country, this is my coach.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. I mean, and now you've made your national team debut for Armenia at, like, what are you, 20 years old?
Yeah, 20.
That's crazy. That's a perfect age to make a national team debut. I mean, last month we saw you play the FIFA team tournament. Not last month. Hosted in our beautiful Yerevan. And when and how were you first approached by the FFA?
Okay, so most of them already knew me because I played on the youth team, but I didn't play for a couple years because my senior year I tore my ACL, so I had to get surgery and I had to come back from that. And then there was like a point where I didn't know if I would be coming back, so they basically sorry, what?
And you got injured, and how was that? I mean, was it bad?
Yeah, it was pretty bad because
how long did it take to recover?
For ACL, it takes 6 months until you can like start jogging again, running, and then so they recommend a full year before you're actually playing on the field. So yeah, it was definitely tough, and I didn't know, like, I felt like I was getting left behind. That's the thing that most people feel when they're injured on their team. So, and it was my senior year, so I didn't really know where would I go after that. Would colleges like be open to recruiting me if I'm not playing for a year? So I didn't play for a while until basically when Corona started. Someone from the federation reached out to me and was like, we're gonna be playing, like, can you play? And I was like, I'm gonna get in shape and I'm gonna play. So that's how I got here.
And that takes us to the Lebanon game. You mentioned Eminem. I'm getting hyped up. How did it feel to be Rita Grigorian at that moment? Like putting on the most beautiful jersey in the world, hearing your name, Փոխարին մանեմդ նումխատաշ համատասնվեց Rita Grigorian, everyone cheering. How did that feel, Rita? How did it feel to be you?
Well, it feels amazing to be wearing your jersey and to get into the field and play for your country. I know, like, I am not content with how I played because I know that I can do so much better, and I'm gonna do so much better. Yeah, but it was definitely something coming back from like my injury and not playing. But you know, you have to start somewhere, and now that I've started, I'm just gonna be going up. That's what happens when you listen to Eminem.
Just a quick sidebar question. So you go to San Obispo, obviously. Did you ever have conversations about playing at the college level at SLO?
Yeah, I did. I actually got to talk to their coach and with their team, and I had the chance of doing it. It's my fault. It's totally my fault for like not being motivated and not being lazy, like being kind of lazy about it. So I didn't end up doing it. And then, yeah, when I got myself together and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. That's when the pandemic started, and then they canceled their league games for 2 years. So that's why when I went to Armenia this time, I just ended up playing on Al-Ashker's professional team because I was like, I can't play for university anyway at this point since they're not playing, so might as well play professional, you know? Because if you play pro,
easy, right? Yeah, might as well play pro.
Pro, you can't play in the NCAA, so I just decided to do that this year.
So, like you, there are several other young players from Diaspora in the national team, like Gazarian from France, Maral from Germany, and of course, many more from the USA. The federation is stepping up even further in their efforts to exploit the insane potential of the Armenian diaspora. How would you describe the federation today?
I think the federation is doing great things to support us. I think they've definitely stepped it up from past years. And yeah, I think they need to bring people in from the diaspora because like not just soccer, like where the Armenian diaspora is just a great part of Armenia. So, you know, in reality and in history, if the diaspora is a big part of Armenia, then I feel like that should carry over to the soccer field because that's just how it is. There's a lot of us outside.
Yeah. I think that's something amazing that the federation is doing. So yeah.
The recent friendly tournament ended up being a great success in terms of results, undefeated, but especially in what we saw on the pitch. So there was a lot of short passing, smart football, organized, strong defense. What are the team's overall feelings and your personal feelings about how the team performed?
I think the team performed really well. I think we kind of knew each other very well, and even though maybe like there were some language barriers between some people outside of the field, but when everyone got on the field, all of that was gone and we just understood each other and it was just easy to play with each other. And I think sometimes we got unlucky. I think we could have won the last game, for example. I felt like we could have been first place, but overall we definitely did a good job.
We think on here that you guys did a fantastic job. We don't think there was any real expectation, not because we don't feel that the team could win, but because we didn't really know what to expect. You know, it was it's a new team, it's a new group of women coming together and playing for the first time effectively in what is seen as, you know, in our eyes, it's still a competitive tournament because whether or not you say friendly or not, we know Rita, you're not going in with the mentality that it's a friendly tournament, right?
Definitely not. No.
I mean, we saw the tackles.
Yeah.
And we were honestly, and I said this with the first set of friendlies that the women's national team played a few months back. I say a few months, it was probably last year at this point. I lost track of time. But there's always like this like drive, motivation that we see with the women's team that we definitely have been lacking on the men's side up until very recently. And so we see it, like we can literally through the screen tell how passionate you guys are and how much you ladies care about representing Armenia.
And most of all, an organized defense. I mean, we sometimes overlook that. No, seriously though, I mean, we sometimes overlook how important an organized defensive system is, and you guys, like, you could tell the whole team was in sync with that system.
Well, let's move on to our next subtopic. It's a little thing known as the Women's World Cup qualifying draw. Armenia was placed in Group F with Norway, Belgium, Poland, Albania, and Kosovo. What are your thoughts on this group?
Well, the day before the draw, I was with Nairi, my friend who's also on the team, and she was like, "Oh my God, like who are we gonna get put with?" And I was like, "We're gonna get put with France." I don't know why. I just said that, and she was like, "Oh my God, what?" Like, yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling. But so we didn't end up getting with France, but we got some tough teams, definitely, for sure. When I was on the youth team, I played against Norway and I played against Poland. So I assume that some of those girls that were there on the youth team will be up there as well on their senior team. And they were really good at that level, so I know they're really good. But I feel like there is a huge difference in how we played at that level and our team now. So I know it's going to be hard, but yeah. I feel like we're going to like surprise people again, definitely.
And then, yeah, any expectations other than the usual, we know you played against Belgium and that they have become like acquaintances with the Belgian team. Anyone you might want to highlight and say, take care of this one, Ushati direk, like stuff like that. Any individual dangers?
Well, I don't really remember anyone specifically on other teams, but I mean, if anyone else on the team does, that would be great. But also, we can look them online. So, like, I've been checking all of their scores with other teams just to see, like, kind of get scale in my mind of the ranking. But yeah, that's what I do before every game as well. So there's another ritual.
So let's just ask you point blank straight up. Are you guys going to beat them? Yes or no? Norway.
I don't know. I'm going to say yes right now. And then we're going to have to work to prove me right.
You know what? I love that answer. I think that answer is more than good enough.
Yes for all of them.
Good.
We haven't met the other ones. Like we haven't met any of the other players, but with the attitude that you have shown, I think that you can do anything at this point. Like anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we definitely we all have this attitude because, like you said, nothing was really expected from us when we were playing, and so it's more than just like a soccer game for us because we have to prove not only to like everyone else in the world and the other teams and FIFA, we have to prove to literally all the other Armenians that girls can play soccer and Armenian girls can play soccer because it's definitely a new thing for Armenians, most Armenians, just women's sports not that big.
No, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, and actually, how do you think that us, the average Joe from diaspora, the average hobo, if you will, uh, yeah, yeah, stupid fun. Uh, I have my moments. I have my moments,
I
but
liked it.
seriously, thank you, I appreciate it. How do you think that us, people like us from diaspora all over the world, that just wants to help, just wants to support the sport in Armenia? That's another weird uh, phrase, support the sport. How could we help develop football or any sport for that matter in Armenia?
I think following the games and watching them, because like obviously the more views you get, the more motivated you'll be to work for your goal, and the more spread like the more you spread the information that we're playing, the more people see it, and then more people back you up. The federation sees that people want to see this game, they support you more. So it all starts like watching it and supporting.
So bottom line, it only takes one click.
Yeah, for real.
Along with that, what are the biggest challenges that aspiring female footballers face in Armenia? Which Alex asks from Hellas Footy.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well,
like, what have you seen?
Okay, in Armenia, I feel like it's just kind of sticking to it. And honestly, just getting started, because that's also a thing that, for women at least, in Armenia, it's not that, like, orthodox, I guess, for women to get into sports, especially like soccer or even basketball or even boxing. Like, who's heard of women's boxing in Armenia, right? But it's actually crazy. There's some crazy women's boxers in Armenia. If you actually look into it, they're really good. So things like that aren't really open to most of the public, but if you just start, if you work up the courage to start and go against what you may have been taught your whole life, then you can change everything.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic, we kind of talked about this a couple of questions before, but what does being Armenian mean to you?
Everything. Armenian is like one of my most important identifying characteristics. When I meet someone, I tell them I'm Armenian. So I think most Armenians are like that, which is something I think is very funny, but also just very cool.
Being Armenian is a personality.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where I was getting into. Let's be real. I mean, when you meet someone, you're on a date or something, you say you're Armenian. That's a personality trait. I don't care what they say.
Definitely.
It means a lot of things. It means you're stubborn. It means.
But seriously, okay, maybe not dating, but we have to get off football a little bit here. A little more serious stuff this time. For us, everyone, last year it was a sucky year. For obvious reasons by now. Especially we're gonna go into the Turkish invasion of Artsakh, of course. And you were actually very, very vocal on social, and you even raised awareness about what was going on. I remember you were taking part in humanitarian campaigns and stuff. I mean, we are only assuming you felt like us, but how did you technically and practically speaking spend your days during the war, those 45 dreadful days? Even during the attacks on Davos in July, and of course our post-war that we're living right now. How did you cope with that?
Yeah, so when I went to Armenia, in September. I landed on September 26th, and I was supposed to train with FC Alaşkert. That's why I was there. And then on the 27th, the war started. So that's how I just happened to be there. So I don't know, it's kind of meant to be, I guess, that I would help out. But the games got canceled because of what was going on. So me and my cousin and some of her friends would go every day and just here in the city. And then that's how I met that's how I met Armen on Instagram, because we were collecting letters to send to the soldiers, and so he found my page and did that with us. So for like, obviously it's very hard to be seeing that stuff on the news and not being able to do much about it. So I was kind of coping with it by just helping as much as I could wherever I could. So I would go and like we would pack stuff for the soldiers to be sent down to Artsakh. And then when I came back to the US after a few weeks, it was still going on. So, and what I remember realizing was that it's so much harder to like cope with it over here than when you're actually in there. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how that works, but that's what I felt. So I was trying to help from here too, like going to the protests and stuff, and again packing stuff to be sent over there, and then also fighting the online fight that I know all of us were fighting. Yeah, and then even more. Yeah, yeah, we had to. Lots. But yeah, with my club also, we ended up raising thousands of dollars to send over there. Wow. So yeah, honestly, that's how we all became like more connected with each other, was by doing things to raise awareness and raise money for Armenia.
Were there any non-Armenians during the time of the war that were reaching out to you and asking what was going on? Maybe it's like friends, people you played soccer with, or people from Cal Poly.
Yeah, definitely. So that was mostly the kids from my dorm freshman year that I had taught Armenian. I taught them about the genocide. Yeah, a lot of them have actually joined my club. Since I'm president now, they're just in ASA, and they took part in all of our fundraisers. They were spreading information. So it's honestly amazing, like what you can create just by teaching people about your culture and things like that.
Well, we think that's fantastic. We're very obviously we're proud of your efforts. We are very like happy that you're so high set and that you've really put your best foot forward and tried to raise awareness, especially to non-Armenians, because sometimes it feels like we're yelling into a void on social media or whatever. Like we pretty much all follow Armenians, so it's like we're just surrounded by the people with the same opinion. But what we realized, I guess, during this whole thing was we need to get like non-Armenians to understand and figure out what's going on. But speaking of non-Armenians, the president of the U.S., Joe Biden, of course, recognized the Armenian Genocide, and it's an incredible milestone for Armenian diasporas here. But geopolitics aside, talk us through your feelings about it. Have any non-Armenians talked about this with you, and how did you welcome the news in general?
Well, when I heard, I was sitting on my Tatik's Kacheli in her backyard in Armenia, and first of all, we didn't think it was real. We thought we were like looking at a meme. So we had to actually go check that it was real. And then, I don't know, no one in Armenia was kind of like surprised, at least in my house. They were like, oh, okay, cool. But then my friends from the US like were texting me. One of them was crying. She was like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Yeah, I think I was just in shock kind of, because I was like, we march every year for this, and now it just happened. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Were you one of the ones behind those funny Joe Biden memes that were coming out?
No.
You can't take credit for that.
Not this time.
But you're definitely good. I mean, let's just lay back a little bit. Let's loosen up. Tell us about your hobbies, Rita. What do you do to chill and relax after a game or during the weekends?
What? I go on runs. That's like kind of my way to chill and like let go of everything. And then yeah, I like to go hiking and things like that. I like to climb trees. I know that's a weird one, but if I see a good tree that can be climbed, I'll climb
Armenian
it.
forest. Armenian forest is the target.
Yeah, I just like to be active. I can't stay in one place for too long or sit.
Yeah, you're definitely all around sports women. I mean, you're a runner, climber, footballer. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Like a sub question, are there a lot of like fields or like a lot of sports places in Armenia that like fields, basically, mostly fields, football fields where anyone can go and play at any time?
I don't really know. I know here we can like just get up and go to the park if we want to play, but I haven't seen anything like that over there. Like when I see people just playing for fun, it's mostly on the streets. Like, and I mean, that's also an experience because when I would go in the summers, I remember we would always go out onto the street and just play, like either barefoot or just in our shoes, and like we would set up a bucket and that would be the goal. I feel like that's part of the experience. So
99 curve the shoes.
yeah.
So I really like how this question is written here. So we know you have a very sharp sense of humor. I'm going to rephrase Armen's quote because I was told not to say that word. She's very funny. That's the quote. Are you the national team comedian?
No. They're you.
No?
If you meet all of them, you will be amazed by how funny they
No
are.
way.
They all are.
So they all are. Not one.
You know, I'd say there's like definitely like a top 5, and they're just like comedians. If you meet them,
Oh,
So you're not in,
runners
you're
to
not in the
that
top 5.
Yeah, who? Give it to us.
I just wouldn't put myself in the top 5. I don't know.
Jesus, I want to laugh. Come on.
They all have their moments for sure. Like you
Okay.
wouldn't even expect it, and something will come up.
Here's another question: Who controls the music in the locker room?
Oh, difficult.
Good question.
Easy. It's Moral.
Mara? What gets played?
She has
What
the
kind of
best music.
Is it like Armenian music, or are you guys doing like shalako, or is it like modern music?
German
It
rap.
kind of switches up between that. Sometimes it's Armenian, and what we found out like during this camp was like the Armenians from the diaspora listen to like more Hobbies music than the Armenians in Armenia. So like we would put on like Super Sako and stuff like that, and like the
Spitaki
Armenians from Armenia would be like, what do you guys listen to? And everyone from outside knew all the words, and it was just really funny.
Me being someone who's trying to go for the coaching path in football, for your training sessions, how do you usually train? Like, do you follow any kind of program to develop your skills?
You mean for when we're with the national team, or just in general?
Both. Like even with the national team, like what you prefer, like what they prefer you to train, and even on your personal time, like during your personal time.
So I do like physical fitness on my own because I just feel like I need to get ahead in that, and I don't feel like we get enough of that in just a training session, so that's kind of something that you should do on your own. And then during training sessions, it's more like technical things and tactical things. So like playing with other people, because you can practice and work on your technical skills and your physical skills on your own, kind of, but tactical and like knowing where to pass the ball and when to pass the ball is something that you have to do with a group.
So I have a question. I've always been curious about this. How much time do you spend as a team watching like film of other teams playing and like going with the coach, like analyzing what they're doing?
Well, it was kind of different this time. All the other times I've been there, it was like kind of just like for hours we would go through it, and there wasn't a second when you were like, oh my God, I want this to end. I'm already bored of it, because you're like just so into it, and you want to obviously you want to know what your opponent's doing and how you're gonna beat them, right? But this time it was the same. It was just shorter. Like we didn't watch that much, and they like clipped the videos so that it was just the set plays of the other teams and things like that. So that was good too, but I would have preferred to have access to like the whole game.
Okay, that's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, our final question in this segment. Clearly, you're like a national team superstar right now, but you're still in school. So, and you have these, World Cup qualifiers coming up in September. How are you planning on juggling all of this?
Well, I was thinking about that yesterday and the other day with Nairi, because we're both gonna be in school at that time. And then we checked the schedule and we saw that like the games are spread out all through the year. And for me, I think I'm just gonna go figure it out. When the time comes, I'll worry about it, because I don't know, that's what I've been doing, and I don't think there's a way to really plan around this. It's just like keep up with your teachers and let them know what's going on, and then figure it out as you go. That's my strategy. I don't know if it's the best.
But it's a problem for the Rita of the future.
Exactly. That's a problem for later.
Okay, so we're gonna get into what I call a little thing I call the lightning round. Okay, this is basically a Q&A, short questions, short answers, and by the end we'll slowly get back to the regular. This is the last part, so are you settled up?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Please. Okay then. Favorite player ever?
Messi.
Oh, I knew it.
She didn't hesitate. I like it. Favorite club?
Barcelona.
Of course. Yeah. Best coach you have had so far, and why?
Coach Vitali at Far West United, because he's been my coach forever and he just knows me and knows how I play.
Okay, that's important. Yeah, that's a great answer. Short and great. Best pitch, stadium, or overall game environment or ambiance you have ever felt, and why?
In Portugal with the U19s, when we played against Portugal, I just felt like I was where I was supposed to be.
We play the hosts.
Yeah.
It's never easy. Never easy, especially against the Latin team. Okay, this one's my favorite question. Favorite food?
Kebab.
Of course, you're my team.
I love that answer.
Oh my God, yeah. If you ask anyone who knows me, ask them my favorite food and they'll tell you.
Go Team Kebab. Favorite music? It could be a band, a singer, a genre, anything.
It's a hard one.
Don't say Eminem.
That's just for games. I don't know, it changes, but I guess I'm just gonna say pop.
I knew it. Oh my god, I guessed it.
So no Spitaxi Haiko either.
Only with the team.
Oh, okay. That's a little disappointing, I must say. But no worries, no worries. We got place for everyone. Speaking of places, yeah, favorite place in the world.
Goris.
Oh, why? That's interesting.
I don't know. I've just been there a few times and like I'm like this place is so amazing. I haven't been to Artsakh, so you know, it's up in the air if I end up going there. It might be that place because I've heard that's also very beautiful, but I love Goris and the food there is amazing and the people are so amazing. I just like it.
Must be in the water. Biggest accomplishment could be from football or outside of football.
I think my biggest accomplishment is just spreading my Armenianness at Cal Poly.
That's a beautiful answer.
Yeah,
If you got to meet anyone in world history, it could be dead or alive, football related or not, Armenian or not, who would it be and why?
Okay, I would be Monte Melkonian.
Awesome.
Oh, what an answer.
You're definitely Football Kentron material. I knew it.
I've been reading his brother's book, and that's genius.
I read it too.
Like,
That's awesome.
And he was in their ASA too.
Was he the president like you? Are you?
No, he wasn't. He got out of there.
And if I'm not mistaken, San Joaquin is not all that far from where you are right now.
Yeah, it's a few hours.
That's awesome. And okay, last question for this lightning round. In your experience, what would you say to young Armenians and especially young Armenian women that want to make a career for themselves in football or any sports?
I would say don't listen to anyone who says like you can't do that because or like that says that's a guy's sport, go dance or something. Dance is super cool too and that's super hard and I could never do it because it's so hard, but that's something that like my grandma would always be like, why are you playing soccer? Go dance. And I'd be like, what do you mean? I can't dance. So yeah, I would just tell them don't really listen to anyone and just go with your gut and do what you want to do.
John, that's that was really what we wanted to listen, what we wanted to hear. Okay, lightning round is done. That was AMA zing, definitely. Honestly, I loved it. Rita, anything you would want to ask yourself? Anything? Campaigns, social media to promote awareness, anything?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. No, I think we're all good. I just want to say that when we play in June, everyone who's listening to this podcast better be on that link and watching that.
Yeah, trust me, they will be. They will be.
We asked you before you came on to the show to pick your what we have now. It's a new tradition we're doing called the Armenian Song of the Day.
Oh, okay,
and since
right.
you're our esteemed guest of the day, you get to pick what the song is, and you had already selected one, right?
Yeah.
What's the song and why?
I had selected Hayastan Jan by Iveta Mukuchian because I just love that song, and I think a lot of Diasporans love that song because it's just I don't know, the lyrics are just like I'm part of Armenia, things like that, and that's a song that I always listen to on my drive from home to LAX going to Armenia because it just gets me in the mood. I don't know. Yeah. And then also when I was on the youth team, we would listen to the song and it would kind of motivate us like on the way to games. And I know like that's kind of weird. I don't know if that's like a before your game song, but it's just a very Armenian song and it just reminds you of how awesome Armenia is.
Well, speaking of awesome, thank you, Rita, for being such an awesome guest. You're very cool. This has been an awesome conversation. Everyone, if you haven't already, I don't know why, if you haven't, follow Rita on all of her social media, her Instagram. I don't know if you have a Twitter. Do you have a Twitter?
No, I got kicked off.
She doesn't have a Twitter.
Oh.
Wait, explain. Wait, you got kicked off. Why did you get kicked off Twitter?
I don't want to go too deep into it, but there is no more.
That's fine.
Twitter stuff.
Well, follow her on Instagram. Get those follows up. Let's get Rita more followers. Follow Football Kentron on all the social medias if you haven't already. And enjoy Hayastan Can, which is the song that Rita chose to be the song of the day. Thank you, Rita, for coming. We loved having you. We will welcome you back anytime.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Well, this has been Football Kentron, and we're signing out. Peace.